Hi guys, today I wanted to make a video on how to overcome an eating disorder. These are just a few tips, but they are ones that really were helpful to me and help me daily in my journey and staying in recovery and staying strong. So I hope this helps you, and please feel free to pass it along if it helps you and you feel like it can help others. I really feel like this is my goal in life, is to help people overcome eating disorders. And I want to redefine beauty, and I want everyone to feel like they're worthy of recovery and getting better. So hope you enjoy this video. So here we go. So number one, I fully believe in God's strength and give God all the glory for my recovery. I honestly feel like eating disorders and psychological diseases in general are tactics of Satan to get people to fall away from God. Genesis 50:20 is one of my favorite Bible verses. It says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." So I feel like this Bible verse is so applicable. I feel like Satan uses eating disorders to try to get people to stray away from God, but God can use that for good. But knowing that Satan is involved, you need God's power in order to overcome. You're not going to overcome something from Satan without God's power. So number one, turn to God. He wants to help you. And, thinking back to when I went through anorexia, like I didn't really turn to God that much at first, because I think it was part of me didn't want to let go of my eating disorder. So I didn't fully surrender to God. There was a long time where it was like, oh, I'm surrendering to God, but I'm not willing to give up my weight. I'm not willing to give up, this. I'm not willing to give up this. So you really have to kind of say, God, I surrender everything to you. And He will pull you through. He will. I mean, it's as simple as that. God will rescue you. So number one, God. Number two, okay, you have to admit, kind of like the 12 steps, AA. Admitting is one of the most important steps. Admitting it to yourself. For a long time, I knew I had a problem, but I never actually, I never admitted. It was always, I'm fine, even though inside I knew. So number one, you have to admit that you have a problem, and admit it to others too. My best friend, Bryn, she was my best friend, and she stuck through me all through my eating disorder. And she knew I had a problem, but I remember the day that I went to her, I was like, Bryn, I have an eating disorder. And I remember it kind of changed my recovery, because it was like I now had that person that I shared that with, and I trusted her with my life, and I'll forever owe my life to her, because I honestly don't know where I would have been without her. So admitting is a very important step. Another step 3, get a support system. I can't even explain how important a support system is. Sorry, I'm antsy, too much coffee today. But a support system, I was very like, I'm gonna overcome this. I don't need anybody. Nobody understands what I'm going through. But you need support. You need community. You need friends. Find, people that you trust. It can be family, friends, coworkers, whoever. Somebody that you trust and that will be there for you. When you're having a bad thought, say, hey, can you pray with me? There's power in prayer, and power when two people are together. So find some support. You can't do this alone. You need somebody. Okay, next step. And these aren't in order. These are just different tips. So don't think that you have to go boom, 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 boom. Okay, so this one is really helpful. Disassociating your thoughts. Okay, so imagine that Ed is a person. Your eating disorder thoughts, put that into a person. Okay, so imagine you have this person, Ed, and that's from now on gonna be where all your bad thoughts go, into this Ed person. This is helpful because it's no longer you, it's Ed. Because what happens when you're trying to recover, you're fighting against yourself because you have this war waging in your head that you want to do this, but Ed wants to do this. So if you try to overcome it without disassociating those thoughts, you're kind of fighting against yourself. So it's difficult. But what this does is it puts these thoughts into this other person so that you're able to overcome it a little bit easier. So when you have this bad thought that comes into your mind, that's like, you're so fat. It's like, that is not, for me, that's not Alex. That's Ed. Ed, get out of my head. It's like, I listen to Alex's voice, not Ed's voice. If I'm like, oh, that was good. Oh, that's Alex. Like, it's like reclaiming your voice back. But if it's like, oh, look in the mirror, ew, you're so ugly. It's like, Ed. No. Okay? And I'm a little bit of a feminist too, so I don't Ed is like, Okay. So try that. Try labeling those bad thoughts as Ed, and it's this person. And going along with that, this is a helpful exercise that I found really helpful. I felt a little bit like a crazy person at first doing it, but it's really helpful. So sit down at a table and imagine Ed is in the chair next to you. And you're just going to talk to Ed like he was a person. Tell him exactly how you feel about him. Tell him that you are sick of him and that you are ready to live a life free of him. And just take a few minutes. Start your day by talking to God first and then talking to Ed. Tell him, I'm not going to let you rule my life. I'm absolutely done with you. I'm breaking up with you, right? You're done with this abusive relationship with Ed. And you'd be surprised that really helps. Like talking to an empty chair, but it's really helpful. And imagine you're just breaking up with Ed. Okay, next one. No scale. Throw away the scale. I can't say that enough. Do not weigh yourself. I have not weighed myself in like 7-8 months probably, and they have been, I'm not even joking, the best months of my life. Even though I was recovered from anorexia, this summer I went through a bad period about my body, and kind of like over exercising and kind of getting back into that cycle. And the scale was a very important issue. I was like, every day I wanted to be a certain number, and I was laying in bed one night, and I was like, I can't believe I'm going back to these patterns. And I was like, I really don't want to do this, but I hate seeing a big number on that scale. And I was like, I'm just going to say, screw the scale. Like, honestly, like, that should be one of your life mottos. Screw the scale, because it's stupid. Like, I can't explain how much I hate scales. You are not a number. God's not looking down from heaven and saying, oh, there's number 125. Your weight. People don't call you by a number on a scale. They call you by your name. So why in the world would you ever think of yourself as a number? Nobody else does, and you don't want anybody else to treat you like a number. So you shouldn't worry about a number. Like, it's so stupid. Like, as long as you're healthy and you're eating well, your body will be at the right weight. Sorry, I'm like choking for a second. But so please go smash the scale. Like, take a hammer to it and bam. It's so stupid, and I think that is one of the biggest keys in recovery is stop weighing yourself. So throw away that scale, like, right now. Okay, next thing. I think it's okay to avoid sugar foods. If you know that certain foods really make you feel bad and like really just gross, it's fine. Like, in order to recover, at first, I used to think, I gotta eat like pizza and like all this to prove that I'm recovered. And it's like, no, you don't have to do that at all. And I think some people freak out like trying to recover because they're like, well, I don't want to eat all this. You don't have to. Like, now I eat healthy, like fruits, vegetables. I mean, if I want to have a treat now and then, that's fine. But I do feel like the cleaner that you eat, the better that your body feels, and you feel good about yourself. Like, you don't worry about like, oh my gosh, I ate so much, because you're eating healthy stuff. And for me, like, if I eat too much sugar, like, it triggers bad thoughts. And I'm like, I shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah. And sugar's not, good for you. You don't have to eat sugar. So I think avoiding foods that make you feel bad is totally fine. Next thing, exercise. I fully believe in the power of exercise. Sometimes like recovering, they won't let you exercise and blah, 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 but I totally believe in exercising because it releases those good endorphins and it boosts your mood. And it's just such a good start to your day, and especially if there's cute guys at the gym. Okay, side note, I got distracted there for a second. Okay, where was I at? Exercise. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be like high intensity. Like, just go walk, go see like the beautiful outdoors, because staying inside sometimes can be so depressing. And just go outside and walk and get those endorphins flowing. And that was another one too. Go outside. There's something about the sunshine. It's just like brightens your day. Okay, another one. Find a passion. Find something that you are so passionate about. Like for me, like I've always loved dancing. Like I even like writing. I love learning. I love math actually. Like find something that you love doing. Making music, singing, going to the movies, going to the mall, shopping, something fun. You need something fun in your life. To kind of look forward to and just kind of like make you laugh. I think laughter is one of the best medicines. Sometimes I'll go on to like YouTube and just look at, if you ever watch Impractical Jokers, it's hilarious. I recommend watching that after this video, because sometimes like just laughing can boost your spirit. And sometimes recovery can get so like depressing and blah, 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 blah. And it's just helpful sometimes to just laugh. It kind of makes you like take a step back and you're like, okay, I can do this. I can handle this. So have fun and laugh in life. Next thing, figure out when your brain is starting to wander. What I mean is like, okay, the way that anorexia thoughts kind of work, it's like you'll have a little thought and then it's like, not bobo. Like it's like, it will trail into something else, and then it will trail into something else, and it will trail until finally you get to the bottom and it's like, I want to kill myself. At least for me that was. So for example, like, oh man, I shouldn't have eaten that. Oh great, why'd you eat that? You're so fat. Oh look, you even gained 5 pounds already. Ew, Alex, you're so disgusting. Why don't you just kill yourself? Okay, that's kind of how my thought pattern went. So learn to recognize that beginning start of the thought pattern. So like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that, and nip it in the bud. Say, oh well, I can eat healthy my next meal, and it's gone. That's it. Stop the thought pattern. Don't let it go any further, because what happens is as it starts to progress each level, you start feeling worse and worse and worse, and you get weak towards Ed. So notice that first thought that Ed gives you, I shouldn't have eaten that. It's like, Ed, leave me alone. I'm not even going to think about it. And go do something else. Don't even let your mind go down that path. Okay? Okay, I got a few more. Hopefully you're still watching. Get a fighting spirit. This is like so important because you need to be like a warrior kind of towards Ed. Ed is strong and Ed is powerful. Like, he's a nasty monster in your head. And if you try to fight Ed, like, oh, like, please leave me alone. Like, he's not going to leave you alone. You have to be like, listen, Ed, I'm through with you. I'm going to take you down. Like, you have to get aggressive towards Ed. Channel that anger towards him. Don't crumble under Ed's grasp. Like, fight against him. Like, get that fighting spirit. And like, hey, maybe go take like a boxing class and take out your anger towards Ed. I did that sometimes, and I still do. I'm like, oh, Ed. And it's helpful because you need that fight towards Ed. It's that fighting spirit in you. So get aggressive towards Ed. Only Ed. Okay, 2 more. Point your eyes towards heaven. And this is something to do daily, not just with recovery, but daily with everything. Sometimes this world can be difficult and there's bad days, like there's bad days in recovery. Some days you'll feel crappy, some days you'll, want to quit. And, some days I'm just stressed out with school or whatever it is. Point your eyes towards heaven. And what I mean is, like, look, like, when you get to heaven, will this really matter? Like, for example, I was laying in bed one night and, I keep saying laying in bed. Apparently, I do all my great thinking at night. But I was laying in bed one night, and I was like, if I get to heaven and all I can tell God is, well, I never got past a certain number on a scale. It's like, wow, that's gonna be pretty shameful of a life if that's all I did was a number on a scale. Like, that's not what I want to do with my life. I want to go to heaven and say, God, look at these souls that I won, or not that I won, but through Christ's power. Or like, God, like, you gave me this life and I tried to do as much with it as possible. Not, God, you gave me this life and I spent my whole time obsessing about food and calories and working out and I never impacted lives. But God, I was a number on a scale. It's like, no, I want to get to heaven and be like, God, that life was amazing. Thank you for giving me such a blessing of a life. So point your eyes towards heaven and, what do you want your life to look back at the end of your life? When you're on your deathbed, will you be happy with the life that you lived? One of my biggest regrets is, looking back on the few years that I struggle with an eating disorder and be like, gosh, I've missed out on so much of life. Like, I missed out on friendships. I missed out on a lot, that's where it hurts, my eating disorder, because it's like I see what I could have done and instead I was, working out, or I was obsessing over burning calories, whatever it was. And I don't want that regret for you. Now I'm okay that I went through that because I know God is using that for a purpose now for me to hopefully help others. But I don't want you to look back and regret, because that's one of the worst feelings. Not to mention regretting like what harm you do to your body, how much your bones can break, or your reproductive system can shut down, your thyroid. So many harmful bodily effects that I don't want you to look back and say, gosh, if I wouldn't have cut back my calories, I wouldn't be going through this now. So make a life goal. Is your life goal to be a number on a scale? I'm pretty sure it's not. So, start making changes each day to move towards your life goal. Okay, and final point, realize that it's a daily choice. Recovery is. Recovery is a lifetime. It's not, bam, you recovered. Just think how long it took you to get this far into your eating disorder. It's gonna take just as long to get out. Don't expect recovery to happen overnight. It's hard. It's not fun. You feel gross. But it gets easier. And that's probably what I'm gonna leave you on, is know that, the first day that you're in recovery, you're like, this is the worst thing ever. I'm fat. I want to throw up. It's horrible. And then the first week goes by, and you're still like, I hate this. I hate this. But if you push through and you don't give in to Ed, and you're just like, you can agree with Ed in your head. Like, yes, I agree, Ed. I feel gross. I feel fat. But the key is you have to disobey Ed. When Ed says don't eat, you say, no, I am going to eat because I'm reclaiming my life back. It's fine at first if you agree with Ed, but you disobey him. Got it? Okay. So then if you push through that first week, you'll see, okay, the second week you're still going to feel terrible. You're still going to feel fat, but you're like, I made it. I can keep going. And what's going to happen is after a month, you're going to start to be like, this is bearable. Food is actually kind of good. 2 months passes and you're like, wow, I don't feel that fat. I'm feeling more normal. Come 6 months and you might actually look in the mirror and be like, hey, like, I like my new body. Like, I don't look like a stick. Like, I look like a woman, or a man. And, if you're a man, obviously. And then, like a year goes by and you're like, wow, I can't believe I ever thought I wasn't going to recover from ed. Because what happens is while you're going through an eating disorder, your brain is starved of nutrition, so you're not thinking properly. And what happens as you keep feeding yourself, nutrition goes to your brain, and your brain starts to become normal again, and you start thinking like a normal person. Not that you're not normal, but not those thoughts of I'm fat, those distorted images, because your brain's going to get healthy again. So, come like 2 years later, and you're actually like, I love my body, I love my life, and ed isn't even a part of your life anymore. So know that recovery takes time, and like I said, recovery is a daily choice. I still wake up and I say, today I'm not going to believe the lies that the enemy's going to tell me. Are there days where I look in the mirror and I think, oh my gosh, I'm so fat? Yes, of course. And do I think sometimes like I'm not pretty, blah, blah, blah? Yes, those negative thoughts definitely enter my mind. But what's different now is I say, God, let me see me as you see me, God. Help me to see myself as you see me. And that's the difference now. I stop those thoughts at that level. I say, Ed, get out of my head. I don't go, oh my gosh, you're so fat, and then keep going down the trail. So that's what I'm saying. Recovery is a daily choice. It's choosing to say, even though I might hear those thoughts, I'm not going to listen to those thoughts. I listen to the voice of God, the voice of truth. There's so many voices in this world that are going to tell you you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you need to be skinnier. Nobody will ever love you, nobody will ever want you. But those are lies from the enemy, and that's all that they are. You have to say, God, let me hear your voice. And I promise he will deliver. I mean, he is the God of all gods. I mean, not the God of all gods, I don't know. Well, yeah, the only God, not the God of all gods, the only God, and the ultimate healer, Prince of Peace. He is just my everything, and he has healed me. And all I can say is, I'm so thankful, and I hope that this video has helped you some. Sorry if it was a little bit all over the place. I blame that on Starbucks, but I hope that this helps you a lot. And please feel free to message me anytime. Find me on Facebook if you're watching this on YouTube. And please message me. This is my, passion in life, is spreading God's beauty and God's definition of beauty to everyone. And you are treasured, and you are sacred, and you are his, and you are absolutely beautiful just the way that you are. Much love. Bye.